Something happened in Washington today that almost no one saw coming. And the moment it dropped, the entire conversation around the Epstein files shifted in a way that could finally force decades of secrecy into the light. A single amendment, just a few lines of text, instantly put some of the most powerful people in the country on notice. Because for the first time, someone with real authority said the quiet part out loud. It's time to release everything, not summaries, not selective pages, not the polished versions we've seen in the past. Everything.
American people, particularly when it comes to costs and healthcare costs. Leader Thune needs to sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill that meets these needs in order to get something to pass. On the other thing, on Epstein. So I just filed an amendment to the NDAA bill that would require the Attorney General to release all of the Epstein files. It's the same exact language as the House discharge petition, and something that Senator Merkley has proposed as well. There's been so much lying, obfuscation, cover-ups. The American people need to see everything that's in the Epstein file, and my amendment would make that happen.
How were you able to file the amendment? Was the tree not filled, or?
That is correct.
Okay, so
You're a very astute.
I'm a rules nerd.
Yes.
Leader Schumer, what would you say? What would you say to Republicans who might say that filing cloture is a hostile act? And are you worried at all that this could potentially jeopardize or derail?
You talking about Epstein?
Yes.
Okay. Look, the bottom line is the American people need to see this. Donald Trump has lied about this. There was no picture. There was no drawing. There's been so many lies, so much prevarication, so much cover-up. The American people, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, are demanding it be made public, and it should be. We hope Republicans will vote for it. They should. Yes.
Democrats had control of the White House and the DOJ for years and never asked for this. Why now?
Look,
why didn't you do it then?
it's become so apparent that they're lying about it in every different way, and the demands of the American people are so great, and you had all the different people come down and testify and this and that. The need is greater than ever now. Yes, yes.
If Republicans voting down your amendment, or if they figure out a way to avoid a vote on it, what does that say?
It speaks pretty badly of them.
Leadership.
Yes, yes.
On spending, are you saying you're opposed to a clean seal?
Look, the bottom line is that the bill they proposed can't get our votes. It doesn't meet the needs of the American people, plain and simple.
So, Mr. Leader,
Yes.
can you talk about your meeting that you're going to have today with Leader Jeffries, how you guys are trying to get on the same page? And
Leader
the ACA
we're not
subsidies
trying
have
to
be
get
part
on the
of
same
CR.
page. We're on the same page. We've discussed things regularly. We talk several times a week. We both agree, A, there needs to be a bipartisan bill with real Democratic input. Why? Because the American people are hurting in terms of higher costs, and particularly in health care, and we need to deal with that issue. Their proposal doesn't do that.
So does that mean
Okay,
ACA
no,
subsidies?
one more. Yes.
So Leader Thune said yesterday that ACA credits are off the table, the extension of the ACA credits. Does that make a deal impossible on your point?
The American people and many Republicans are demanding that this be part of it, but look, what we said is we have to meet the needs of the American people. That has to be in the bill. Their proposal does not do that.
ACA subsidies, the ACA subsidies need to be in the bill, just to clarify. Can you guys clarify? Yeah, I know.
Could you send
This moment didn't happen in a committee room. It didn't happen behind closed doors. It happened on camera, without hesitation, and you could feel the shock ripple even before the reporters reacted. The message was unmistakable. The era of hiding behind excuses, investigations, and redactions has hit a wall. And the person pushing it forward isn't doing it to score a headline. He's doing it because the pressure has reached a place that can no longer be ignored. When he announced that he filed an amendment requiring the Attorney General to release the full Epstein archive, it wasn't framed as a suggestion. It was framed as a demand from the public, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everyone who's watched this case get twisted, delayed, weaponized, and protected for far too long. And that's why the room got quiet. Because this wasn't political theater. This was an ultimatum. Show the truth. What makes this moment even more explosive is the fact that these files have been treated like radioactive material for years. Agencies have claimed ongoing investigations. Lawyers have claimed privacy concerns. Committees have blamed jurisdiction. And every time someone gets close to the truth, a new obstacle appears, as if the system itself is designed to keep the door shut. But today, that door finally rattled. The timing is just as important as the announcement. Reporters immediately asked why this wasn't pushed earlier when certain officials had more leverage. The answer was simple and blunt. The lies and misinformation have spiraled so far out of control that transparency is no longer optional. In recent months, we've seen fake sketches, manipulated images, and entire narratives built on rumors. It's been chaos by design, a storm of noise meant to distract people from the real question: who benefited from Epstein's silence? And that's exactly why this amendment hits so hard. It cuts through the distractions. It says, release every page and let people draw their own conclusions. No filters, no curation, no political protection. Because if the truth is harmless, then why spend decades hiding it? Of course, not everyone is thrilled. Some lawmakers immediately called the amendment hostile and suggested it could derail other negotiations. But think about that for a second. If transparency threatens your agenda, what does that say about your agenda? If releasing documents about a criminal case is considered dangerous, who exactly is being protected? That question hung in the air like smoke, and you could see the unease in the reactions. But the most fascinating part of all this is the person the amendment puts directly in the spotlight: the Attorney General. Over the past year, she's faced criticism for her political connections and for stepping carefully around anything involving this case. Now there's no middle ground. She can either comply with full transparency or become the face of yet another delay. And that's a choice that carries consequences on both sides. That if she releases everything, she opens the biggest set of documents tied to one of the darkest scandals in modern history. If she refuses, she confirms every suspicion people already have about why these files have been buried for so long. Either way, the country will be watching. And here's where things get even more intense. There's a lot of speculation online, unverified but widely discussed, about what might be hidden inside these documents. Some reports claim the files contain unedited communications between Epstein and individuals across finance, politics, tech, and media. Others suggest there are travel logs, financial trails, and internal memos that have never seen daylight. Rumors even say that certain agencies raised quiet alarms years ago about what full transparency would expose. None of this is confirmed. But the fact that people have been left to guess is the biggest part of the problem. When institutions refuse to release information, speculation becomes the only thing people have. And speculation, especially around a case as disturbing as this, spreads like wildfire. That's why today matters. Because this amendment challenges all of it: the secrecy, the deflection, the excuses. It forces the system to make a choice between truth and protection, between accountability and convenience. And that's why the reaction has been so charged. Some officials want the documents released immediately. Others are pretending this amendment doesn't exist. And a few are already trying to shift the conversation to completely unrelated issues. But the public isn't confused anymore. People know what's happening. Every time someone pushes for the release of these files, the ground shakes a little. And every time the system tries to hold them back, people ask a little louder why. That momentum is what created this breaking point. This didn't happen because politicians suddenly felt brave. It happened because millions of people stopped accepting the same recycled excuses. There's something else that makes this moment historic. The Epstein case has always been portrayed as a story about one man. But the real story has never been about him. It's about the network that allowed him to operate. It's about the institutions that didn't stop him. It's about how influence can bend justice when the stakes are high enough. And that's why releasing these documents is more than a symbolic gesture. It's a test of whether the truth can still override power. That if this amendment passes, everything changes. Not because the documents themselves hold magic answers, but because for the first time, the public gets to see the full unedited version of events. No more waiting for court decisions. No more vague statements. No more ongoing investigation roadblocks. Just raw information, exactly as it exists. It's also a rare moment of clarity. If lawmakers reject this amendment, they reveal their priorities instantly. They can call it political, risky, destabilizing, whatever excuse they choose. But at the end of the day, The question remains simple. Are you standing with the people or with the system that protected Epstein for decades? For years, this case has been a symbol of how deeply corruption can run when the right people have the right connections. It's been a reminder that justice doesn't always reach those at the top. But today offered something different, a chance to confront that reality without filters or fear. And while this story is far from over, one thing is clear. The pressure is working. The cracks in the wall are visible. And the louder the public becomes, the harder it is for anyone in power to pretend they don't hear it. If you want to stay ahead of every major update, every shocking turn, and every moment the truth gets closer to the surface, make sure you're here for it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown of moments just like this. The more people who stay informed, the harder it becomes for anyone to bury the truth again.